Everyone has lost their collective minds after an Olympic boxing match between Algeria's Imane Khelif and Italy's Angela Carini ended in 45 seconds. Carini quit. According to her, she's been punched harder than she's ever been punched before, and she didn't want to continue fearing her health after suffering what she thought was a broken nose. Now, this led to a huge controversy because Imane Khelif was suspended in 2023 by the IBA, or the International Boxing Association, for apparently having the presence of XY chromosomes in her system. Now, this story blew up because it was presented as a transgender woman joining the Olympics, and people would have you believe that this woman was prime Mike Tyson wearing a wig who joined the Olympics to beat up on women. So now the first thought is, well, if the framing is true, then this might be kind of crazy. But then the immediate second thought is, this is likely the breaking news effect of a BS story on social media. And what I mean by that is everyone unintentionally spreading misinformation while pushing their own personal agendas with limited knowledge. And look, that's okay, as that happens sometimes, but that's also the very reason why sometimes we shouldn't rush to judgment when it comes to these situations with the limited knowledge that we have. So with that in mind, I try my best to figure out what's kind of going on here or what's actually happening. So bear with me as I get through the main points. So first, we got to talk about the IBA. This organization has been mired in controversy, leading up to them being de-recognized as a governing body from the International Olympic Committee. You see, the IOC had serious concerns about their boxing governance due to their reliance on money from a Russian energy firm, Gazprom. They also had some concerns about the integrity of the bouts, the boxing matches that they ran. Now, why does any of this matter? You might be thinking, well, the Olympics task certain agencies to govern and run the sports they know best in order to run qualifying tournaments to determine who will be in the next Olympics, as it's a lot of work and they themselves can't do it all. Simply put, the IOC believed the IBA had some shady dealings and dropped them. And hearing about this story kind of speaks to some of the concerns they had, as the tests that the IBA claimed that Imane Khelif failed by having the presence of X and Y chromosomes and heightened levels of testosterone were never made public up to this day. So no one can test the methodology that was used to come to that conclusion. They're also kind of saying that the decision to disqualify the boxers in 2023 was made arbitrarily by the IBA's president, Imane Khelif. Now, this, mixed in with the lack of transparency, leads to this crazy speculation, and rumors, of course, that this suspension happened after Khelif beat this undefeated boxing prospect last year, Russian boxing prospect, Azalea Aminov. And that actually by disqualifying her, they were able to restore Azalea's boxing record back to undefeated. Also, after she was disqualified, Imane Khelif in this case, she wasn't allowed to go further in the contest where she was actually qualifying for the finals. Again, though, that whole bit right there is speculation and it would need a lot more evidence to support it as a concrete fact. But yeah, I mean, sometimes Russians do be doing some shady things. So we'll just keep that there. So now that that's out the way, let's get back to the substance of the failed test from last year. Because even with its potential issues, everyone is now focused on that and the implications of what it might mean. Again, it was saying that Imane Khelif has XY chromosomes, which are typically associated with males. Now, if this is the case, it means she may be intersex and have what is known as DSD, or differences in sexual development. Now, to be very clear, this would be very different than what everyone would associate with transgenderism, even though when this story originally broke, that's how everyone was presenting it. But from what I was able to gather, folks who have DSD can present in some ways typical to male or female, but have differences in how their organs develop or appear in some cases. So in trying to learn more about this, I came across this article where this doctor referred to a patient of his that came into his office to discuss her issues with getting pregnant. And according to him, if you saw this woman, you would have absolutely no doubt in your mind that she was as regular a woman as any other woman you've seen before. But after testing, it was discovered that she had XY chromosomes. And so then it was discovered that for this particular individual, she never developed a uterus, which would make getting pregnant impossible. Now, why do I mention this story and how does it relate to Imane Khelif? Well, because when people heard that she might have XY chromosomes, they automatically assumed that they knew what that meant for her. They assumed it made her like the Hulk when compared to other women and gave her undeniable advantages over her competition. When in reality, how would the internet even know what her advantages were in the first place, if any? People ultimately just projected what their ideas of her advantages would be onto her and used it to get further outraged, thinking about it as a grand injustice at the Olympics. But guys, I think we need to, again, take a step back and keep three important things in mind. The first being that she's been boxing for some time, competing in championships in 2018 and 2019, and even competing in the 2020 Olympics, where she lost, by the way, to Ireland's Kelly Harrington. And she was easily able to qualify for all the competitions up to that point. Mind you, she's had like 52 fights, lost 9 of them, and only won 6 by KO. Guys, if she was really Mike Tyson, that KO number would be a lot higher by now. Second thing I think we need to keep in mind is that, again, remember the IBA's decision lacked transparency. It did come with a couple more red flags than I think folks were originally open to admitting. So we need to, hold off for the speculation a little bit, but just keep it in mind. The third and the most important, I think, is that Imane Khelif herself never confirmed or produced any medical records saying that she has DSD, is intersex, or any of these things. The internet just ran with it. And again, everyone just assumed it had to be true. So with no transparency or conclusive evidence from the organization that failed her last time, and with no evidence from the organizations that she competed in her entire career, or no conclusive evidence from the boxer herself, then why did everyone run with this idea that it was actually a man in boxing beating up on women? And let me tell you what I think is the most interesting is that now the same people who claim there are absolutely no nuances when it comes to sex and gender are the same people who are turning around and saying that someone who was born as a girl, raised as a girl, competed as a girl, and lives as a girl is somehow a man because of an unconfirmed test that says she has XY chromosomes. You got to make it make sense. Not to mention the craziness of the transgender claim when she comes from Algeria, guys. I doubt it's one of the most progressive societies. I mean, personally, I don't know much about the country, but I'd guess more likely than not that there probably aren't even any openly transgender people in the whole country. So, yeah, I'd probably take that guess. Basically, a perfect example of a Western-focused mindset projecting your ideals and thoughts onto the rest of the world. Totally nonsensical, I think. And guys, let me make this last point. She is a fighter, not a beauty pageant contestant. And I say this because I understand how appearance could heavily influence how everyone's thoughts, opinions, and feelings are on this entire matter. As a fight fan, I've seen Chris Cyborg go on a run and beat up everybody, only to get knocked out by Amanda Nunes, who then went on a run to beat up everybody, only to later get choked out by Juliana Pena. The whole point that I'm trying to make is that sometimes appearances are deceiving. And there's a lot more that goes into competition in terms of advantages and disadvantages. So long as those advantages aren't gained via PEDs or, isn't actually a man joining in female competition and everyone is within acceptable limits determined by the organizations, let them compete. Will there be some biological advantages and disadvantages between contestants? Sure, but that's literally always the case, with some people being taller, smarter, stronger, better trained, wiser, more years of experience, whatever it might be. There are a multitude of factors, and these things are all part of competition. And quick update, guys, since I took so long to get to editing and finally publishing this video, since my original recordings of this video, Imane has actually won the gold at the Olympics. She also decided to post this video to her social media to stunt on the haters, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's what she was doing here. Also, she went ahead and filed an anti-bullying lawsuit and named folks like Elon Musk and J.K. Rowling in it. And I'm not really too sure where that goes or what happens there, but we'll keep an eye on it. Like I said in the beginning, I think this is a classic case of when weak and little information mixes with strong agendas. I think we need to do ourselves all a favor and pump the brakes and just wait for more information to come out before we jump out the window with these conclusions. Anyways, that's my perspective. What's yours? Let me know in the comments down below. Like the video if you haven't already, and subscribe as I got much more content like this on the way. So until next time, YouTube, peace.